Hey, before I get into it, I just wanted to call attention. I hit us 100 subscribers. Yippee! And so on Friday, I'm going to be doing a stream where I do whatever dumb challenge that you guys want me to do right now. Probably just gonna do something simple. What's on my mind is spin a wheel, you have to play that character. So, come tune in if you want to see that. And, yay! This is a discussion today because I feel like ultimates in this game have kind of less and less skillful than they used to be, if that makes sense. So, like, remember Season 0, on the first couple seasons when, it was kind of really only Season 0, when the game first dropped, people said Magic's ult was worthless. There was no point in using it, but because it took skill to use. It wasn't just a press the button and you win. Compared to something like Psylocke, where when you play Psylocke in neutral, every decision matters. Everything you do matters on such a level, because one mistake, you're gonna die. And you're gonna die pretty fast, and if you get out, it's going to be barely. It's going to take skill to get out, and then your ultimate is I dash on top of them and press the Q button, and the game plays the game for me, and then I may or may not win. That's not very skillful. And I feel like a lot of the ults in this game kind of lean more towards that. Obviously, the biggest cop-out here is support ults, just press Q when you win. Luna, just press Q and everyone around you gets healing for free, and all of that stuff. Those are all easy to say. And I don't want to take the low road and say that. I'm going to take a different road and say, I think other ones are just as skillless or similar. Because something like Blade, right? Even though it's a press Q that you dash through and then the ult kind of does everything for you, now you're in their backline and you still have to play the game, right? Something like Elsa, I think, is a good middle ground, right? Because on the way out, I think it's pretty skillful. You have to line it up, you have to time it correctly. You have to be in the great positioning to do it, because if you are off by just even a little bit, it's going to hit something, you're going to mess everything up. If you time it incorrectly, you might hit nobody, you might be too scattered, you might only get the tanks. But on the way back, I think it's the most skillless thing ever. You just keep dashing and dashing away and then shooting at them, and it keeps holding them. And they kind of fixed that problem, but they really didn't. It still happens a lot. And things like that. I think Daredevil's super skillless, because there's nothing about his ultimate that is different from how you normally play the game, except for now I used it and I punish you for looking at me. When his whole job as a DPS is to make the team look at him, which takes fire off of his team, and then you can just push on through. Like, ultimately, I get mad at Daredevil's high sustain, but the sustain is there for a reason, so that way he can live longer to take attention off faster. If you get kills, that's just a bonus. Like Venom. Venom doesn't always need to get kills, he just needs to pressure you enough so that way you look at him. Right? If you are looking at Venom, it's why he can stay in there for so long. Looking at Venom gives him his value. The best way to make sure Venom gets 0 value is play characters that can heal and ignore him. Like, Jeff is pretty good at that, especially if you have your own Venom and you can press your team up and heal your other support without looking at the Venom. And you can just heal your entire team, or you just shoot through the Venom. You can pretty much ignore him for most of it, and then he doesn't have any value because he's not distracting any healing, and if you can ignore him, then he's obviously not killing you. Things like that, right? But even Venom ult takes a little bit of skill, and well, it kind of does. But I'm looking at some of the character list right now, and I'm like, Hulk's ultimate takes entirely a different, it takes a lot of skill, and skill you wouldn't get by playing the game normally, right? Because there's a difference between skill in an ultimate, and I'm just playing the same game, but it made it easier, right? Like Iron Fist is Iron Fist is a middle road between those two, where it's not skillless. It does take skill, but most of the skills that you're using is just your default kit. Whereas I think Human Torch takes a little more skill than that. You have to aim them correctly, you have to trap them. You're trying to trap people in an area, and it's not always hard. You're trying to shepherd people. Doctor Strange's ultimate is also a good one, where it takes skill to use, but it's not skills that you typically use as Doctor Strange, right? You have to go out of your way to be skillful at using his ultimate. And I don't think every single character should have a crazy transformation like Hulk or Magic, but like, I think they should all have a little more skill to them, because Emma, okay, I'm looking at Emma right now. I don't know how much. I have Lord Emma. I'm a tank main. You kind of want to take an off angle. It's best if you take an off angle, but unless they're playing shields, you don't really have to. I mean, you're on the front line. You have a damage resistance. It's about to be even more damage resistance. You just press the button. You're hitting their supports for free. Their supports either have to run away, which means they're not looking at you, or they ult. And if you're hitting the supports, they can't ult because of your ult. You shut down all of their ultimates. You can CC them towards you, all through just pressing the button. And sure, you can cancel at any time. Your positioning does matter, but none of the skills that you're using after you press that Q button are anything that you wouldn't be using normally, which is just position and don't overextend and target priority, right? It's not super skillful of an ult to use, if you know what I'm saying. I know some of my examples are probably terrible, right? But I think it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about, because Moon Knight Ultimate, as much as I hate Moon Knight's Ultimate, it kind of does take a little bit of skill. You have to position it correctly. You have to be in the right position to position it correctly without getting shot. If you want to secure a kill from it, you have to do the follow-up Ankh and Moonblades. Either you right click or you left click. I've only gotten killed after I do the left click. I always do the right click, and I just now haven't put the 2 and 2 together on why. But maybe I should not do that. I'm not a DPS man. I play him like once a blue moon. Doesn't matter. But I would say that's fairly skillful. I would say Iron Man and Wanda take a little bit of skill, where you have to time it correctly. You have to be in the right place at the right time, and not positioning in a difference. It's not positioning like you would in a normal match, right? It's not like, oh, Mantis, where I have to position in order to do my ult correctly. Yeah, but you're standing in the same spot you normally would when doing that. When doing anything else, right? You're standing in the exact same spot. It's not really anything different. Punisher's a really great example of that, unlike Mantis. Punisher, yeah, you still have to hit your shots. You have to it takes skill to hit those shots, and it's hit scan, so it's hard shots to hit. The shots are harder to hit than projectiles. But all the skills you're using as Punisher while you're ulting are all the skills you use as Punisher when you have the AR out, right? Target priority, positioning, don't overextend, aim. You can't say there's any unique skill to using his ult. There's unique skill to using a Magneto ult. It's a new projectile. A projectile speed is different, the size is different, and it's different depending on how long you hold it. You have to manage 2 meters. You have to aim it sometimes very far distances or try and clip them around walls. There is unique skills to using Magneto's ultimate. Jeff the Landshark, unique skills in using that ultimate. Not after you grab them, but grabbing them is pretty difficult to do. It takes unique skills. There's no skills used for Squirrel Girl Ultimate. None at all. Nothing that you would be... And if you're like, oh, well, you gotta position it correctly so it hits the supports, you literally just shoot it down the hallway. It's going to hit their team. And it's going to... And I know position it correctly, but you can shoot it in a straight line down there, and as long as there's a wall behind them, it's gonna hit it. And you know who's closest to the wall behind them? The supports, and it's gonna go right for the supports. It can 2-tap somebody really easily. Honestly, I liked and I thought it was more skillful when it did not auto-lock, because you actually had to use it in correct spots. Squirrel Girl has only been super good during like chokes. In tight choke points. That's when the ult was at its best, or when the point was surrounded by walls, like on the one Wakanda map, where there's the ship, and then once the point opens up, the 3 walls come around it. It was pretty decent there, as long as you aimed it correctly. You had to aim it at a wall thinking about how it would ricochet, and now you don't do anything. You just press the Q button and it goes. And then you just go back to playing no skill. I think Spider-Man's ult kind of takes skill, right? But it takes no more skill than you would normally use as Spider-Man. Because you want to get into the back, you want to hit Web Tracer, you probably want to uppercut before you do it. But once you press that button, there is nothing to using that ult other than pressing the button at the right time. Which is why I think it's not as skillful as some of the other ultimates in the game. Like Wanda and Iron Man, I think a lot of the characters that they have and have released for this game take less and less skill to use ultimates. Like the Thing. The Thing is a character that was released post-launch. His ultimate, you just kind of use it, right? The stun doesn't last long enough to do anything else. Thing is almost entirely played on the front line because you want to jump between the front line and your back line to help with dive. That's his gameplay loop. So you're going to be using that ult on their front line. It's hard to block with a shield unless you can see it or sense it coming. I've done it a few times. I'm very proud of myself when I do it because it's not the easiest thing to do, especially if you aren't aware that it's about to happen. But like Rogue ult, same thing that I said for Daredevil. As much as I love Rogue, the only skill that's required for that is ult tracking. Other than that, it just makes your normal gameplay loop easier, just like Daredevil, where it punishes them for looking at you, and the whole point of your existence is to cause havoc and be looked at. It punishes them for looking at you. Rogue, it punishes them for being near you, because it makes you stronger and hurts them. Only a little bit, but it still hurts them. And the only thing that's required for that is ult tracking. If you're on tank, you should be ult tracking regardless. It's not a skill that's unique to using her ultimate. Mr. Fantastic, I actually think that's a pretty skillful ult to use. It doesn't work under as many ceilings as it did before, but it was like, where am I using it? I need to use it under a ceiling. How do I use it? And you need to consistently hit your bounces, and it used to be a little weird to control. It's gotten easier and easier to use, but also at the same time a little harder to use. But that's primarily because it's bad, not because it's hard to use. Something like Invisible Woman is not very hard to use. It's hard to stay alive if you don't know what you're doing, but especially after they gave her the self-shield, it's not hard to use, and it's not the hardest to stay alive in. Trust me, I know I say, oh, Jess, my go-to support, and I've said that before, but Invisible Woman, I'm good on Invisible Woman. I have Invisible Woman Lord. The only reason I don't play Invisible Woman first is because someone else typically gets it, and not my best. I play it because it's good, not because I'm good on it. Something like I did for Mag a lot. But like Angela, I don't think Angela requires a lot of skill. It's just, I throw this at who I want to engage, instead of actually doing an engage like you typically would for Angela. I think it's less skill than a neutral gameplay, because instead of actually having to engage them, you just throw it at who you want to engage, you engage them for free by using the follow-up on it, and then, after doing that free follow-up, they are tied to stay in your AoE and grant you bonus health. Like, they're forced to do that. And so I think that is not very skillful. Now, obviously, it's harder to get kills on it because they're all grouped together. They can heal, and then they can just pop an ultimate. It's not like a true CC, but it's not a very skillful interaction. And the reason I bring this up, right, and I know I ranted a lot about which ones were skillful and which ones weren't. That's up to your own discretion. My point is, I don't feel good when I lose to something that's not skill. Right? I feel like a lot of people would share that sentiment. If I get absolutely diffed, right? If I'm playing something and I'm just getting constantly Black Widow headshot every single time and they're not cheating, fuck, man, you're just the GOAT. Alright, I don't know why you're on Black Widow and not anybody else, but damn, man, you're just the GOAT. That happens to me all the time. I just get skill diffed. And you know what? Fair. I'll take a step back. But when a Psylocke ultimate kills me, even if I was like outside of the, and I'm like, oh, when I died, I was outside of the circle. I was outside of the circle and I died, right? Even in those scenarios, I don't feel outskilled. They weren't aiming for me. Nothing they did wanted me dead, specifically me. They weren't trying to kill me, unless I was the only one they ulted, and they solo ulted a tank, or if I'm on support, they solo ulted a support. There's nothing that they did that outskilled me, and that frustrates me. I feel like that frustrates a lot of people, and with them adding more and more characters that do that aren't as skillful in their ultimates as some of the other characters in this list, it's just weird. Because I don't feel outskilled when Daredevil places the banhammer on me. I couldn't remember the name of the ultimate. It's his gun ultimate, that punishes you for missing. I don't feel outskilled when he puts that on me. It's the upgraded version, and then he shoots me. Brother, no, I don't. I couldn't kill you if I wanted to. You were gaining so much health per second, especially if you're in a tank or support pool, and I'm getting hit just for existing, and then God forbid I miss a shot, which means I might as well not shoot you. I don't feel outskilled in that scenario. I don't even feel outskilled in his other ultimate, the big test with the swords, because you just use it and you get to push for free, and then you can use your other one that's tick damage, covers my UI and my health bar, and you just get to use all your abilities for free and shit like that, and I don't feel outskilled. I just go, oh, it's like a support ultimate, where it's a mini support ultimate, essentially, where he just gets to push me for free, and there's nothing I can really do about it. Especially in a 1v1. I've died to tank pool so many times using the big test, or either one of those. Typically, I only get the banhammer if I'm a support or a DPS. I get it a lot when I'm playing Ultron, but when I'm playing Ultron, my only option is to cower next to my supports and not shoot. But that's not skillful. There's no skill involved with that. He just looked at me, pressed Q on his keyboard, and it was over. There was nothing to do. There was no counterplay I could do other than, please keep me alive from the AoE damage that it has, and then, God forbid I shoot, and I miss, right? It's just this weird thing about it where I feel like not as many ultimates in the game require their own unique set of skills. Because again, I don't think that every ultimate in the game should be a unique transformation that is a completely different character that you have to learn. But it should require a unique set of skills. I mean, even Groot, it's a little skillful to try and lob it, especially if you're doing lobs, you're not just doing it right in front of you, but after you press Q, it just holds them there, and then you place a wall behind them and you shoot them. So after you press Q, because there's a little skill in hitting it, right? I agree. I think there's skill in hitting it. But once you use it, you're just doing your normal gameplay loop. It's not like Doctor Strange or like Magneto, where you have to use a different set of skills than your main gameplay loop in order to use it properly and use it well. I think... I looked to my left and I looked at the character roster. I think Hawkeye has the worst ultimate in this game when it comes to that. You're telling me you have an aim character, a character that is solely based on aim, solely based on your ability to hit headshots, and for his ultimate you gave him after images, and he doesn't have to aim at anything. He just gets to spam it, and it's full damage every single time, and he can just spam headshots on a still target. It's not really moving. Every now and then he has to change to a different still target. Ooh. You kidding me? That is the skillless thing I was going to say skillless thing I've ever seen, but I remembered I talked about Squirrel Girl. But yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think that the ultimates in this game, as they released them, because a lot of the characters I talked about were newer characters that had been released post-launch. So do you think that they're becoming, or have always been, not very skillful to use, or just not very skillful in general? Yeah, that's about it. See ya.